Cancer. There, I said it. It's a word that affects everybody. Nearly 12 million people per year are diagnosed with cancer. That's nearly 4% of all Americans. 11,000 of those cases are children under the age of 16. 30% of cancers could be prevented mainly by not using tobacco, having a healthy diet, being physically active, and preventing other infections that may cause it. So just some pretty crazy statistics. Let me give you a few more. Around 7.5 million people die from cancer each year, accounting for about 13% of the deaths worldwide. And then the big one, more than 30% of cancers can be cured if detected early and treated adequately. So as I said, cancer is something that affects nearly everybody, and these statistics kind of prove that. I'm sure that everyone here in our school either knows somebody or is somehow connected to someone that has had this battle. I personally have known 6 people that have thankfully been diagnosed and have beaten their cancer. 3 of those being students of mine. We're lucky to be joined here today by one of those, who I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. Mrs. Duersch, thank you for sitting down with me today. Would you please take just a few minutes to share with these kids your story?
Thank you so much. I am Mrs. Duersch. Lots of you know me as I have subbed in your classrooms from kindergarten through 8th grade here at Scholar Academy. But I also have coached some of you on the soccer field and have played soccer with your parents. But you may not know that I am a cancer survivor. And just here is a picture of me about 5 years ago. And I want to tell you a little bit of my story. As you know, I am a guest teacher. You may not know that I am a soccer player, a soccer coach, a mom. I've been a Cub Scout leader. I play the piano. I write and read. I'm a peacemaker, a problem solver, and a star polisher. And I am a cancer survivor. On the first day of school in August of 2015, my kids were happily ready to start their school year. And as they got home from school that day, I got some scary news, and I wasn't sure how to tell them that I had cancer. It took me a week before I could say that out loud. But some of my greatest heroes are my family. I don't know if you recognize me in this picture with blonde hair, but this is a picture of my family on my first day after chemo treatment, and my body was so tired and worn out. But my son Harrison, he's in that orange shirt there, he wanted to do something to show that we as a family could beat cancer, and he decided to run a 5K. He was in 7th grade, and I remember standing at the corner watching him run. Some of my heroes actually were my librarians who helped me find a book to tell my kids that I had cancer and to help us figure out what we could do, because my kids couldn't make the tumors go away, but there were lots of things that they could do to help. We had a caring counselor at my daughter's school. Michaela started 1st grade, and she was really worried about what was happening for me, and she wasn't sure how to approach that. But she had an awesome counselor that helped her use art to work through some of her feelings. And you know, art saved me. I love to write and read, but I didn't realize that learning how to paint would help to heal my heart at a hard time in my life. And when I first went in for chemo, I want you guys to think about the little things that you can do as kids. Things that make a lot of difference for those people around you who are struggling with something hard. Michaela gave me this little frog ring. So when I went to the hospital for my first chemo treatment, she said, "Mom, you don't have to be scared. You just have to look at the little frog with the googly eyes, and you can smile and know that everything will be just fine." And she was right. All you need is a stuffed animal, a good book, especially one that makes you laugh, a blanket, and friends who help give you hope and support on hard days. And I am so grateful for Brinley, age 8. When the treatments, one of the treatments they use for cancer is called chemotherapy. And the evidence that it's working is that your hair usually falls out. And my hair fell out a lot quicker than I was ready for it. I went to church that Sunday looking like a pirate, and by that afternoon, there was more hair in that bag than there was on my head. And there were big alligator tears streaming down my face. But Brinley, one of the students in my neighborhood, had her mom send me a message and said, "Mrs. Duersch, it's okay if you lose all your hair. You'll never lose your smile. You know that one you have for everyone?" She was right. Even on my hard day, it was her words who helped me find my smile. While I was coaching soccer, one of the moms that I knew crocheted this hat for the Minions, our soccer team. And another dear friend of mine actually crocheted the pink hat for me there, that when my hair fell out, I had something to still make me feel pretty. Hope was actually more important for me than any of the medicine that the doctors gave me. And one of my favorite days was when I was so sick and there were a group of kids in my neighborhood that showed up to rake my leaves in the fall, and the rakes were bigger than they were. I had groups of Cub Scouts that came and planted flowers in my garden and weeded my yard, and all of those little things made such a big difference. And in November of 2015, there was this huge snowstorm, and I was so sick. And I thought of all the things that I needed to do as a mom, but my daughter reminded me how important it was to play. And this is a picture of some of my kids. We, on that snowy day, made 6 snowmen, a snow fort, and had the best snowball fight we've ever had. And there was a lot of sweet things that happened when we learned how to play together. I don't know if you can tell, that's my snowman right there with the pink scarf, and me standing right next to it, kneeling. It didn't take very long though before, after the surgery, nearly all my hair was missing. And I recognized that joy is contagious, cancer isn't. My aunt sent me a pair of heart-to-heart jumper cables, because just like when your car's battery is dead and needs a jump start from someone else to get going, she recognized that there were little things that we needed from each other to help us, especially when someone is going through something difficult. And I have this huge binder filled with cards and letters from my students, from my family, from my nieces and nephews, and this gave me so much courage on days where I felt so sad. My sister even helped me find a wonderful wig, or when my hair was missing, she gave me some normal days back. Can you believe that's my wig? And I went from feeling like a prisoner of war to a princess. Just in time for we actually had a fairy tale celebration at one of my kids' schools. Felt like I looked like Rapunzel that day, but that was my wig. So in my battle with cancer, they did catch it early. I was at stage 2. I went through 4 rounds of chemo, 30 days of radiation, which all of you in Mr. Hall's class, remember we talked about heat transfer and how radiation works. That was an example. 30 days of radiation gave me a really, 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 really bad sunburn. I had 2 major surgeries, 78 trips to Huntsman Cancer Institute. 2 tumors are gone, and my health is returning, and I do have a lot to be grateful for. It's awesome to have a caring community like what we live in. Kicking Cancers Can was an event they held in my neighborhood every year, and I have been able to help some of my friends who had had cancer. But I was overcome with gratitude when I was nominated in 2016 to be the recipient of the money that was raised for this event. There was a 5K and all kinds of neat things that they did. And here's a picture again of my husband and kids as they ran in the races that day. And there's Harrison with his orange shirt racing that 5K, and every year his time has improved. And he took first place in the race in 2017. I don't know if you can tell, but I ran the last 10 yards, but I still couldn't catch him. This is when he took first place in that race. And his courage to run actually gave me, it was an inspiration for me, just to be able to know that my son could do something hard, and he could sprint that last leg of the race. He would get faster at the hardest part of the race. Gave me courage, a lot of courage. But one of my greatest treasures is actually from another girl just about your age, 9 years old. Amanda Keith would babysit, and she would save her quarters and pennies and nickels and dimes, and every time she saw me, she would hand me this little bag of change with a little card and just give me that little boost of courage and confidence and let me know that she cared about me. And this is actually my greatest treasure. They raised more than $5,600 at that Kicking Cancer's Can event, which I was so grateful for after I hadn't been able to work for a while recovering from surgeries, and there was over $20,000 in medical bills, much more than that now actually. But this little bag of coins has been some of my greatest treasures because it represents the love and the caring of kids just like you. This is a picture of my soccer team. Please never underestimate what you guys can do, no matter your age. These kids, with their smiles, their encouragement, they let me coach them on the days even that I didn't feel so good. They were always ready to play, and soccer was another thing that helped save my life, just to give me something to look forward to and to be able to cheer them on, and they cheered me on just as much. And my students, I loved that they would take the time to go and find a friend at the buddy bench. I hope that you guys will look around and see who needs your kindness today. Because there might be kids around you who are struggling with something. It might not be cancer, but it might be that they're discouraged or having a hard day. And just the little kindnesses that you can do make such a difference. Because heroes don't look like they used to. They look like you do. So I hope that you will spread a little sunshine every day. Serve someone, even in the smallest way. From the pennies and nickels and dimes you collect, to the cards you can write, the smiles you can send, the little things matter.
Thank you for sharing that. So, you might be asking why we're talking about this now, why we're sharing this story with you now. Well, at our health and safety fair last week, if you came to it, you'll notice that there was a booth set up by the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Those are different types of cancers. In fact, one of the students that I spoke about earlier, by the time she reached my 6th grade class at the time, was a 2-time survivor of leukemia. That society runs something that they refer to as pennies for patients, which, if you remember the power of a penny, the power of change, we're going to be collecting money to donate to their cause of fighting the cancers and looking for a cure. We're going to have what we call a penny war. You're going to bring money by the office, kind of out by the art room there. I'll have jars set up. They'll be labeled kindergarten through 8th grade. The goal is to see which grade can collect the most money. So bring in your pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, dig through your couches, find it under your bed, find all the change you can. And if you're lucky enough, maybe you can get some bills from your parents, you know. Let's see how much we can collect for this society, and you know, see how much money we can donate to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And what if I threw in for you that the grade that collects the most will get a free dress day? So let's remember that kindness can win. Cancer might have started the fight, but let's see what we can do to help him finish it. Thank you, Ms. Duersch.